Please welcome Joan Brock.
I was walking across my college campus one evening, and it began to snow. I came to a street crossing, and there's a street lamp shining down, and when I got there, I realized no cars had passed. No people had walked. And when I looked down, there were diamonds in the snow. I had never seen that before, and I will never forget it. I am an ordinary person to whom some extraordinary things have happened, and for the next few moments, I'd like to take you on a journey through my life story. My hope is that you will take your life story and plug it into mine, both personally and professionally. I grew up in Bakersfield, California, and I lived there until I was 19, at which time I decided to go and see the world. So I packed my bags, and I moved to South Dakota. I transferred from a junior college to the University of South Dakota, where I received a degree in recreation therapy. After college, I got a job at a mental hospital, a women's correctional facility, where I programmed and planned activities for the clients that I was assigned. I began dating a gentleman who was also a recreation therapist, but he was working at the Iowa Braille and Sight Saving School. And every state has a school for the blind, and some of them are residential settings, and at that time, that was the major residential setting in Iowa. And Joe and I decided to get married. So now I moved to this beautiful little town in Iowa. It had brick streets and church steeples, just like you see in the movies. And it was just a gorgeous setting, and the major employer in that town was the School for the Blind. And I applied for a job at the school. Now, you have to understand, I'd never seen blind children, had never worked with blind children, and had no idea of what to do with 10 little boys that I was assigned in the dormitory, ages 7 to 11. How to teach a blind child how to go up and down stairs safely, or how to find the dining room across campus, or how to tie his shoes, or how to put toothpaste on the toothbrush. Well, those 10 little boys very quickly began teaching me how to teach them. I fell in love with what I was doing, and I wanted to become more and more knowledgeable and somebody that could really assist these children in different ways, and so I became a certified Brailleist. And that enabled me to step into a variety of positions in the school, and one of the jobs was a dormitory liaison. And that was a job that had to do with communication between the staff in the dormitory, the residential setting, and the staff in the educational department, and the community. And so I was also going out into the public and into the community and speaking on behalf of the school, and I was the expert. I knew everything there was to know about teaching blind children. I had the goggles and the talking calculators and the Braille books and all the different things that you could use to demonstrate how blind children learn. So I had been working at the school for about 5 years when I was dressing my daughter Joy one morning. We'd had a little girl. She was 3 years old, and I had her drawer open. I was looking for her pink socks, and I could see the green and the blue and the white, but I couldn't see her pink socks. And Joy came into the room, and I said, "Joy, where are your pink socks?" Well, she went over to that drawer, grabbed them, handed them to me, and said, "Mommy, these are pink." I didn't understand what was happening. That afternoon at the office, the fluorescent lighting seemed to give me some trouble, and I was catching a cold, so I went to the doctor the very next day. And he decided to check the pressure. Now, I don't know if you've ever had that done, but they put drops in your eyes. It feels very strange. And he went out of the office several times. He finally came back in and he said, "Joan, I need you to go to the University of Iowa Neuro-Ophthalmology Department. I want some doctors to check your eyes because I don't know what I'm seeing." So he made the appointments, and to make a very long story short, in 3 weeks' time, I went blind. And I am blind today, and I see none of you sitting in the audience. Thank God. Helps when you're a speaker and you don't have all his eyes looking back at you, you know. But here, I was hospitalized right away, and they did a battery of 4 to 10 tests for a lengthy period of time. And finally, one day, my doctor came in with all of his, student doctors, and I called them the white coats, and they all stood around the foot of my bed and Dr. Corbett finally said, Joan, I need you to understand a few things from all the tests we've found. We understand that you have an autoimmune deficiency. It came into your system, attacked the veins and cells going to the retina, and destroyed the cones and rods, which has caused a condition called macular degeneration. Now, I know many of you have heard that term, and macular means center, deterioration means loss. So I see nothing in the center. The cones and rods give you color and depth perception, and those were completely destroyed, so I have no color perception, so everything's black and white and shadowy, and I have no depth perception. My vision is very limited, and I don't see just very little. But he stood there and he said, now, John, he was explaining all these things, and I'm, very tired from all the tests and everything, and he says, but one of the things I need you to understand that we have never seen this before. You're the only one in the country. Well, whoopee ding. That wasn't really good news, I didn't think. And the deterioration we're seeing, Joan, this is very important for you to understand, is irreversible. Irreversible. When my doctor said the word irreversible, my world stopped. Because at that moment, I knew I'd never see my daughter's face again. But I knew at that very moment I needed to make a choice. I needed to make a decision of how I was going to deal with what life had given me. You see, I'd been teaching blind children for 5 years. How could I make the choice not to go forward positively and productively and crawl up into a corner and do nothing? What kind of an example would that be for my daughter, my family, the students at the school? So, with a little denial wrapped in, I had to go forward. I just had to make a decision right there, and I had to make the decision to take the tools that I had been teaching for 5 years and integrate them into my life. What experiences in your life and in your history have you been able to integrate into your life that have been valuable pieces of information? We all have them, and sometimes without even knowing it. We use those moments from our history in our own lives to go forward positively and productively. There were a lot of changes. My husband Joe did all the shopping. He even used coupons. I was very proud of him. And I kept working. They weren't going to fire me for going blind. Equal opportunity employer. Can't you see the headline? School for the Blind fires blind woman. No. And you'll all be glad to know I quit driving. Those were the immediate changes. Changes, challenges. Has our world not been through changes and challenges? Coping? Mine was just a little tiny small person in the middle of nowhere going through changes and challenges, but all of us do. In my world, organizational skills are essential. And when you stay organized, the obstacles are smaller. My closet is very organized so that I know I can go right to the blazers and pick out which one I want. So I'm not going through the whole closet to find one hanger. My milk is in the same place in the refrigerator. So when I'm cooking or something and I've got things in its place, it helps the machine to run much more smoothly. Now, you have meetings, you have reorganizational meetings, and you organize meetings, and then there's another meeting that's going to organize another reorganizational meeting, right? Talk about a sense of order. You are the best example of order in lives. And it helps the machine to run much more smoothly. In my world, when I get disorganized, the obstacles come glaring through. But when you stay organized, the obstacles are smaller, are they not? Well, we had been going through a lot of changing, and it was really going very well. And it had been, I had learned how to walk back downtown on my own with cane travel, and I just thought if I can do what those students have to do in order to graduate from our school, then that's what I must do. I have to do this. That and a little denial still wrapped in, and we were just, you know how girls are. I can do it, it's no problem. I can, I'll go blind, it's not a problem. I've been working at a school for blind children, goodness sakes, I should be able to do this. Well, there would be an obstacle that would enter our lives, that would truly put life in its proper perspective.